goes to right. Russell Westbrook.
You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
Yo, what's going on, guys? It is Dibes, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. Party on Broad can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Hit that subscribe button, guys. If you guys are here watching us on YouTube, joining us today is, of course, our co-host. He is Rob. Check him out on Twitter at Philly_Madness. What's going on, man?
What's going on? You know, this was a weekend that I had anticipated for weeks, and I had to literally dig deep down for my favorite shirt from our Madness merchandise here that reads Jackass, because I feel like that's what was happening to us this week, was Jackass move after Jackass move. But I am excited to talk about it a little bit, get your take, because like I've always said, I know you're even more on this than I am, so I'm looking forward to hearing what you've got to say as well.
Yeah, so anything you want to plug about the Madness, man, before we get started?
Well, I could tell you that last week we had Chris Malley on with me and Jess to preview the draft, and really none of us saw it going the way it has gone. So I would say that whenever we record this week's episode, I've been reading Jess's tweets. I've been reading my tweets, which normally makes for podcast gold, because the anger that we both spew, and we don't really have a filter with our anger, either of us. So it's going to be interesting. Catch us on iTunes, Spotify. Catch us on the Painted Lines YouTube channel. Subscribe to everything. Make sure you're checking us out. And even you could hit our store at Design Tree /the-madness. We got all of our T-shirts and merchandise there. So.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So on tap for today, we're going to talk and recap the Philadelphia Eagles draft. We're going to go pick by pick, grade each one, and give an overall grade. We're going to talk our top reactions with all of this. So let's do this, Rob.
Might even get a couple live picks while we're doing this too, so we'll see.
Yeah. So I think
if we actually pick someone.
We could. So let's start off with round one, man, because like you said, dude, there are just so many emotions flowing just from the jump in round one, because what had happened was the Eagles had a potential number one wide receiver fall in their lap. And I'm talking about CeeDee Lamb. When we were watching this draft, it was going so well because you looked at a lot of these teams passed on wide receivers, from the Browns to the Niners. You know, you kept seeing CeeDee Lamb fall and fall and fall. And when you saw CeeDee Lamb and the Atlanta Falcons, you knew Howie Roseman had to trade up. I don't know what the Falcons were requesting. Was it a second round pick? Was it a future first? I don't know. But for me personally, Howie Roseman had to make that deal. There is no way you let CeeDee Lamb just, go through your fingers like that. What was your reaction when CeeDee Lamb was falling?
I mean, every single pick, I'm like, all right, this is where the Eagles need to make this trade up. They've got to make this move. It's crucial for them to get this right. And as I said in the weeks leading up, the later you got in the first round, the less faith I have in Howie Roseman to do the right thing, because he just doesn't do it all the time. And as you see Dallas sitting there, and you're all saying, oh, they gave Amari Cooper this money, but you also heard going into the draft that Jerry Jones said, I want to be left alone. I don't want scouts calling me. And if there's any owner who's just going to go for a value at a skill position like wide receiver, it's Jerry Jones. So I'm looking at Atlanta and I'm saying they're going to. They have to. This is the move up. They don't. And as you're sitting there, I mean, literally, I got to the point where I said, I don't even care if CeeDee Lamb goes 18 to the Dolphins. Just don't go to Dallas.
Yeah.
And when that name was read, it was I'm going to be dead honest. It was as crushing to me as playoff losses, as heartbreaking regular season loss. I felt as dejected as I did when Carson Wentz was ruled out of the playoff game. Yeah. I swear to God I did. I was so dejected that it was like the next couple picks kind of flew by because I wasn't paying attention. And you said it, look, even if they're asking for 53 there, and I know going into the draft we said we didn't want to give that up.
Yep.
But this is the position you need. You want to put faith in Carson, you got to get him the guys to put faith in him with. And CeeDee Lamb is a bona fide number 1 wide receiver in the NFL.
Yep.
And we'll get to Jaylen Reger in a minute and all that, but you cannot pass up that opportunity once he got the 5 picks away from you. And the fact that you did goes right into what I worry about with Howie. And is he too inept for drafting? Because this is a constant thing with him. And we've seen it all weekend long with ideas and moves and things that we're going to get into. They got to be – listen, back in the day with Andy Reid and Joe Banner, it was always we're the smartest guy in the room. Howie came up under them. And I see that he is emulating them at that point to a T. Andy's learned from that. Look at the way Andy Reid's drafting now. He's learned from that. He gets the guys that are going to be the guys for him. And he doesn't waste early picks.
Yep.
It's very frustrating right now. I mean, this is a frustrating draft. One of the most frustrating I've been a part of with the Eagles.
Yeah, we start with Thursday night, man. And similar to you, I was with some friends on Whereby here, just talking. I had a Raiders fan, I had a Niners fan, and they straight up were just laughing at me because I just went straight 0 to 100. You know, I didn't want to talk. I couldn't comprehend what was happening. You had to make the trade with the Atlanta Falcons. I don't care what capital you give up. That had to be done. You needed to give Carson. The entire point of this draft was to surround Carson Wentz with weapons. You don't give that opportunity up because you don't want to give up a future pick or a 3rd round pick or the 2nd rounder, which we're going to talk about very soon. I like you, Rob. I was in full agreement that you do not trade a 2nd round pick, but you just had to get it done. And then we go on to Jaylen Reger. So talk about mixed emotions, man, because I was all over the place, man. Because Jaylen Reger, I called that guy months and months ago.
Yeah, you guys love him.
I love that guy. He's been a perfect target, perfect fit for the Eagles offense, what they need. I've always been of the belief that you need a burner on the outside. You need a guy that can stretch the defense. The Eagles were the worst among the worst in the NFL in terms of plays 20 yards or more on offense. They just had to get that guy to be a threat on the outside, and that. You know, we're going to talk about this regarding like Justin Jefferson versus Jaylen Reger. I like Jaylen Reger. I think I even did a highlight reel of him where I was like, yeah, I would take him at 21. I personally wanted to trade down. Mm-hmm. We see Howie making all these fucking moves. Like that's my first take. Where are all these moves in the 1st and 2nd day?
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
So.
And you know, I know that there's the talk that he was going to go on the next pick or two. I got to be honest with you. I don't buy any of the bullshit that comes out of the Eagles front office mouth anymore. They do nothing but try and make you sound stupid while making them sound like the smartest guys in the room. They're arrogant. They're cocky about it. And the fact is, if you're Bill Belichick, you could be as arrogant and cocky as you want. If you've hit on more than you've missed, by all means, be a cocky SOB. But you haven't, Howie, especially at this wide receiver position. Yeah, I maybe Minnesota takes Reger next, okay? But when I hear guys that listen, like Kirk Herbstreit is in my opinion, one of the best analysts in college football. I love Kirk Herbstreit. I think he knows the game. He breaks it down. He doesn't he calls a lot of Ohio State games, but he calls them impartial, down the middle. When I hear him rip the idea of letting Justin Jefferson go there because he has it. He has the potential to make plays. He catches everything near him. I am not here to tell you that I think Jaylen Reger is a terrible football player. I'm not, okay? And I know he's got the speed to light you up. I don't believe he's 4.22 like his pro day. I think he's probably somewhere in the middle of the pro day and the combine. To me, the 1st round, and you saw, now it was a little bit different, but you saw Denver do this where they went with a bona fide catch the ball guy in Jerry Jeudy, and then got their speedster in the 2nd round with KJ Hamler. I would have rather that. I would have rather gone Justin Jefferson and then got your speed guy later. Now, they just spent a pick on a speed guy. I don't know much about this John Hightower other than Krabs on the draftnetwork.com puts, he will drive you mad with his drops, which is just not what I want to hear for anybody putting on an Eagles uniform. That is my frustration. And not only that, you just lost out on CeeDee Lamb. Look, I had said to you, if Jefferson is gone and Reger is there 21 or Ayuk, I can at least make that okay to me. You know how I felt about Justin Jefferson. I thought this guy was not just a wide receiver, and I understand that his major position might be the slot, but I think he's a difference maker on a roster. I don't know that about Jaylen Reger yet, because the question becomes, is Reger the one? And I know that we need speed, but is that all he's going to give you? Is he just going to give you that speed and that blow the top off the defense? Because the fact is, the Eagles still need a possession type of guy, too, that can catch the ball. And I know what you were saying Thursday night, that they could still get him, but they didn't. They didn't do that. You know, and that's the frustrating thing.
You just don't take a slot guy in the first round. That's just not how football works, man. And I understand that was like, I love Jaylen Reger, and I have nothing but love towards Justin Jefferson. But when you look at what the Eagles need, you have to spend the capital on a guy on the X that can stretch a defense. You just don't. You can find guys. I agree with you. If there was one consensus what the Eagles were targeting against speed, and we're going to talk about all the guys they added at wide receiver in this draft, but that is the clear as day, is that the Eagles wanted speed, and speed. I love Jaylen Reger, but I still go back to the fact that we missed out on CeeDee Lamb. And kudos to Dallas. They had a wonderful draft.
See what they just did?
What's that?
Dallas just drafted Bradley and I too in the sixth round here.
It was almost kind of like a running joke. Like I'm tweeting out on Twitter like all of my favorite prospects, and Dallas is taking them left and right. And I made fun of Jerry Jones, so I look like the biggest idiot right now, because we are all making fun of him here, that he was going to lock himself in the basement and didn't want any distractions from his scouting team. And wow, man, it's kind of ironic. But anyway, so how would you grade the Jaylen Reger pick? How would you grade day one?
Well, look, and I understand that speed is what they need, and I, and here's the thing. Here's where Twitter pissed me off, because then it's everyone's taking receipts, right? Everyone, I can't wait because you're not allowed to cheer for him when he throws. Guys, we're all friggin' Eagles fans here, okay? I want Jaylen Reger to be the best wide receiver to ever play the game of football. You know what I mean? I want the kid to succeed. It's not against him. I wanted Justin Jefferson. I have a higher opinion on Justin Jefferson. It's where I stood. If they made that pick and I all of a sudden said, oh, no, this is the right, then I'm a hypocrite. And I'm not going to do that. It's not the way I do these things. Jefferson was my guy. I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to say that I wasn't crazy about the pick, okay? I know that most people's scores on that pick are going to be way higher. Because it was speed is why I'll give it a C+. Let's just put it that way. And it's because, yes, they wanted speed. They got speed. I just am, and I know you don't always need to do this, but when I hear Daniel Jeremiah, when I hear Kirk Herbstreit, when I hear when I hear these guys that do this for a living call it a head-scratching move, when Daniel Jeremiah says Jefferson's my 14th ranked player in the whole draft, Reger was my 56th ranked player in the whole draft. And I think what made it even worse for me is what comes next that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
I think I could have been a lot more okay with this if the second round went differently. And because it didn't, I now that's probably why the grade becomes that C+ range.
I couldn't agree anymore, brother. Like, we went into this draft not wanting to give up that second round pick. But just one more thing on Jaylen Reger before we move on. What's the style of the Eagles offense, man? It's that 12 personnel. They run more 2 tight end sets than anyone in the NFL. What is the number one thing you need in a 12 personnel offense? You got to have the guy on the outside that can stretch a defense and put pressure on the top of a secondary. And that's not Justin Jefferson. That's not that guy. So that's my my final take on that. I think Jefferson would have been fine if they had speed on the outside to groom next to Carson Wentz. They just don't. It was always just a bad fit. And if I had to grade it, you have to compartmentalize it, right? Like I have to grade Howie on him being inept and not getting the guy for Carson Wentz. We're talking about CeeDee Lamb. So there's that. And then we have Jaylen Reger, who's a perfect fit. I have always been pro Jaylen Reger. I give Reger an A. I give Howie an F. So I'm in that C range. I got to like cut it in half.
It all plays a role. It all plays a role in that grading.
Absolutely. So let's move on to day 2. Because like you, I woke up the next day completely depressed. I was so upset but then I was happy. It was like this weird mixed emotion of, we got Jaylen Reger. It was fun watching my YouTube views go up on my Reger videos. That was interesting. Check that out on the Painted Lines YouTube channel here. But man, like I was just so depressed that we didn't get CeeDee Lamb. And there was this whole caveat that, yes, all right, we're going to trade up in the second round. There was a ton of day 2 prospects that really fit the Eagles. And what happened, man?
Well, so here's the thing. As 53 is getting closer, I'm looking at my board that I have pulled up, and I'm sitting there and I'm basically saying, wow, there are a lot of guys here. And one of my buddies texts me, and I was with you. I was miserable, though, all day. And then I started to get happy. So you know what? Second and third round, this is where you get the guys that make or break drafts, right? And as the draft's falling, I'm like, oh, my God, there's 10. They're like 3 picks away. And I was like, there are 10 guys here I'd be thrilled with, like absolutely thrilled with. AJ Espinosa had fallen. Zach Bond was still sitting there, which he sat there for even longer. You talk about the receiver, Denzel Mims, who I said, didn't love in the first round, but you get him at 53. I feel, and I actually said to somebody, I said, I would not be surprised if you see the Eagles trade back a few slots here, because there is so many guys at positions of need for them that they can afford to do that. And still get the guy they want. And the Athletics sent out a blast on my phone. I got a notification on my phone prior to the pick. And I looked at it. I kind of just gave this look, and I sent my group a text, and I said, is this real? And they're like, what? And before we could even talk about it, the call is being made that the Eagles are drafting in the second round of the draft Jalen Hurts, the quarterback from Oklahoma. And it was just the curse-laden tirades, the devastation. This one was I'm telling you, in all the years I followed the draft, Chris, I have never been more just baffled and speechless because of a pick the Eagles made. Danny Watkins did not have me this baffled.
I fully agree. Like Christian Fulton. Christian Fulton was also on the board. Like when this draft pick went down, my initial reaction was, all right, we're trading. Where's this pick going? There was no freaking way that this guy was going to be a Philadelphia Eagle. And call it a reach, call it whatever you want. In that second, third round, was he a reach? I don't know. But Jalen Hurts, man. No disrespect to Jalen Hurts. Before we move forward, I love that kid. You know, he has a ton of heart. We could do a quick breakdown of him. But yeah, he's 6 foot, 222 pounds. He ran a 4.59 40-yard dash. He's only 21 years old. He's a very good athlete. He's got a lot of acceleration and quickness. He can always make that first guy miss. And you got to give this guy credit where credit is due, because this is a guy that was benched during the national championship game a couple years ago, lost his starting job at Alabama, and then thrived at Oklahoma, man. So this guy has a ton of heart, a ton of grit, nothing but respect to Jalen Hurts. But what the fuck is going on here, man? Because you do not take Jalen Hurts, a backup quarterback, a clipboard holder, in the second round. Are the Eagles trying to win now? Because they're clearly not. No. They are looking down the road. You do not draft a gadget guy in the second round, man. I was completely blown.
What I have learned from this draft, although then they do things like they did today with their trade that make you go, well, what now? What? Well, you know, but what I'm being told is you do not expect to win right now. First and foremost, don't give me the bullshit. We're a quarterback factory. Don't give me that. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. You're not a university. You're not a college. This is not a campus where you're recruiting. So don't give me that you're a quarterback factory, first and foremost. Don't give me the Taysom Hill Why? Because you don't spend a second-round pick on Taysom Hill. I don't even know if Taysom Hill was drafted or if it was an undrafted free agent. I don't even know. Bottom line is that's not – Lynn Bowden could have been that guy for you later in the draft. You know what I mean? From Kentucky. This pick right here personifies and his response to it. His press conference after shows you the arrogance. It's the Joe Banner-esque side of him. I know more than you. I'm smarter than you, and I'm going to show everybody I'm the smartest guy in the room. Here's the problem, Howie. It hasn't worked for you ever. The only pick you've gotten right was it fell in the – you made great trades to get up, to get Carson Wentz. But once you got up there, you didn't have to think about it. You just picked him. You just freaking picked him.
Yeah, man. I laughed and laughed and laughed at the Packers taking Jordan Love. And, oh, my gosh, this was like I got to say, man, this is probably one of the worst draft picks in Eagles history. And I can't believe there are people even on Twitter going, oh, it's a smart move. Like,
oh, my God. And the national media, all these guys are trying to kind of make sense of this, and they're putting this crap out there. And you got to sit there and go, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
Adam Schefter, coronavirus. People are afraid of their Adam, I love you. You do a great job, but don't give me coronavirus is why they drafted Jalen friggin' Hurts. Don't give me that.
And so help me God, if there's some sort of report that comes out like a year or two from now that the Eagles refuse to give up a second-round pick for CeeDee Lamb, dude, it's over. It's like if that comes out, it's over for Howie Roseman. I don't think he would ever I don't think he could ever go into the city of Philadelphia ever again.
The only thing I can wrap my mind around, and don't misunderstand me, I'm not okaying it, but the only thing I'm wondering is if that concussion that Carson Wentz suffered was so bad.
That's it.
That the fear that if he gets one more, he's done, Andrew Luck style, retiring from the league.
That's it.
That's the only thing.
That's it. That is, and that's why it makes you so much more depressed, is because the only take from this move is that Carson Wentz is not going to be healthy ever again. The Eagles are completely saying that you cannot expect Carson Wentz to stay healthy for a full season the rest of his career. And that is like completely disheartening. That's my take, is that there's I can't think of anything else positive from the move.
And how naive is Howie Roseman to actually say, well, I don't think anybody's going to be clamoring for a rookie quarterback over. Do you not know the town you're in? Nick Foles hasn't been here in 3 years, and we still have to fight the fact that Carson Wentz is a better quarterback. What do you think you're going to do with the Heisman runner-up, a national championship winner? Jesus Christ. If Carson throws a pick in game one, there are going to be jackasses out there who say, give me Jalen Hurts. I don't even want to see this anymore. You know what's going to happen. Absolutely. You just created another quarterback issue in your house. It's ridiculous.
There's no more divisive sports town than Philadelphia. I mean, we have two superstars in Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, and we still can't accept it, and we still want to tear them apart. That still happens. No matter, they're top 15 players in the NBA, and we still, destroy them.
This is a pick you make in the 5th or 6th round. You don't make it in the 2nd round. And I don't know what kind of grades you had on these guys, because there were 20 guys who fit what you talked about Jaylen Reger in the fit, and they talked about it on Thursday night. He fits what we want. You can't tell me those other 20 guys didn't fit what you wanted better.
Nah, man.
You can't tell me that.
I wanted Mims. I wanted Christian Fulton. Both of those guys would have been perfect fits for the Eagles, what they need to do.
And I wanted Christian Fulton even more once the Dallas Cowboys got CeeDee Lamb, because now you're talking to Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you needed a corner. They haven't drafted a corner. They do now, great, but anybody you get at this point, chances are at that position especially, you're not going to play. They're not going to play.
This was baffling. This was an absolute F draft pick. What about you?
Oh, it's an F. It's an F minus. Can I give an F minus, or one of those old sitcoms where they would give a kid an E because it was so bad it was worse than an F? I mean, it honestly is going to crush any grade you can give this draft class. Absolutely.
And before this draft, I was so nervous that the Eagles would draft a center in the top 2 rounds, which ultimately meant Jason Kelce is on the way out. My take here is that Carson Wentz, might. There could be an option in Carson Wentz's contract that the Eagles could be eventually looking to move on. And other than that, or his injury history, it's not good, man. They're supposed to surround Carson Wentz with weapons, not build a quarterback controversy. I'm laughing on the outside right now, but believe me, bro, I am murdering on the inside. I'm
Well, listen, I don't care if Jalen Hurts comes in the Taysom Hill role and has 6 touchdowns to his name next year. I will still hate this friggin' pick every day, maybe for the rest of my life. Maybe for the rest of my life. I firmly believe that.
So how do you feel about Jalen Hurts?
And you know what? That's honestly why I feel bad about this.
Yeah, me too.
Because in himself, I wanted him to succeed. And that's the thing with him. He left Alabama because he doesn't want to be a backup.
There's nothing good that comes out of this. You have a quarterback controversy in Philadelphia. Jalen Hurts, it's a missed opportunity for Jalen Hurts. He wants to start. He's literally, if he plays, that means Carson Wentz is hurt. It's just bad all the way around, man. Let's move on to the next pick. Davion Taylor, 6 foot, 228 pounds. What was your reaction to him? I liked Davion Taylor. He's one of the most interesting stories in the draft. He actually didn't play football in high school because of religious purposes. His family is deeply religious.
Yeah, I believe every game at halftime.
Yeah, really, really interesting player here. But the name of the game with Davion Taylor is speed, speed, and speed. This guy is very fast, very athletic, very quick. He can get to the pass rusher or he can get to the quarterback. He can drop back in coverage, which is so important for a linebacker. But I think the biggest thing with Davion Taylor is this guy is super raw, man. This guy is going to make his bread and butter in the special teams for the first year or two. And I mean, go ahead, Ra.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And look, he's got good power. He tackles well. I think right off the bat, he's going to get an opportunity here because of the lack at that position and the fact that he's already the most athletic by far.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably got more potential than anybody that's there. So I think you're going to see him on the field maybe in early downs here this year. I honestly believe that. I think that, look, I know that when you did mock drafts and when you talk to people, a lot of people had a 4th round, 5th round grade on him. Yep. So did they take him a little early? Yeah. But that's the MO of the Eagles. That's what they do. They take guys early. I mean, I don't know how many other ways to see it now. Not that I agree with that part of it, but I liked this pick. And I said they drafted a football player that can contribute this year, definitely on special teams. But I'm willing to say that he's actually going to be able to contribute. As raw as he is, he will be able to contribute on the defensive side of the ball this year. And the hope is over the next 1 or 2 years, he becomes that sideline-to-sideline player that you want from back there that can guard the pass. He'll be great against tight ends, running backs, all those guys in the slot. He could do it all with a little bit more time. So all in all, I am happy about that pick.
Yeah. If you were to just put at 53 Christian Fulton and Davion Taylor on the second day, this would have been a pretty good draft for the Eagles. But because you have Jalen Hurts, I put Davion Taylor in a ton of my mocks. I was very high on Davion Taylor before draft night. I gushed about this guy. He's exactly what the Eagles need. Speed. He's a better athlete than a football player right now, man. This guy doesn't have instincts. He doesn't have technique. But he just needs coached. He needs to be coached up a little bit. But like you said, man, he's definitely got a pretty high ceiling. For a 3rd round pick, this is one of those kind of high ceiling picks, low floor picks. But if it clicks, he could be a really good player for the Philadelphia Eagles. I give this a solid B+. Even though, was it a reach? A little bit, but I think he absolutely fits that Jim Schwartz defense. He can drop back. He's athletic enough to cover tight ends. They haven't had that in years. And he's going to be a kind of a fun little project to watch develop and progress over the next couple years. I don't know how much I expect out of him next year. But if he starts, that would be a huge plus. What about you?
I think a B+ is a really fair grade. I think it is a little bit early. I think you had hoped for the linebacker position because of where they are to maybe have somebody a little more finely tuned than him. but I love his athleticism. I like his power. I like that he has that hybridness to him, which they love.
Yeah.
And really, it was a guy that I thought that they might like. How he said, even though I don't buy anything he says, that he was going to be well gone by the time they picked in the 4th. Who knows? And I think it fills a need. I think it fills a need, and you got quicker on the defense, and that's important. So I think a B+ for that is very good.
All right. So overall, day 2 grade, we're thinking B+ for Davion Taylor, F for Jalen Hurts. I just feel bad. I mean, a D. It's probably a D because I went into this draft thinking we're surrounding Carson with weapons. We're in win now mode. We're absolutely thinking getting guys to plug in and play right now at cornerback, at safety, wide receiver, all these positions that are really big needs. Linebacker, Davion Taylor is super raw, and I don't know, man. Jalen Hurts is going to be holding a clipboard all next year, so I think a D for the day 2.
The problem with Jalen Hurts holding a clip is the only way that things are going well for the Eagles is if Jalen Hurts is always holding a clipboard. You don't want your second-round pick to always be holding a clipboard.
Oh, man.
There's no logic to this. None whatsoever. Honestly, I am telling you, if the season goes the way I'm starting to assume it's going to go, that pick alone is the fireable offense for Howie Roseman. It's a fireable offense. I know Jeffrey Lurie loves him. Like me, personally, I would have called him on Friday night and said, hand everything in. You're done. You're out. You're not allowed to draft anymore. This
is Philadelphia. The first preseason game where Jalen Hurts goes 10 for 12 for 150 yards and a touchdown, it's going to be just bananas. And we just got out of the Nick Foles versus Carson Wentz divisiveness, and now we got another one. And it's just emotionally, I don't know if I can handle that again, man. It's
so depressing.
It is. All right, let's move on to day 3, which was actually, I think, overall a much better day than day 1 and day 2 because leading off, we had Kavon Wallace. Kavon Wallace is a very versatile safety / cornerback. He's super athletic. He was one of my top guys. There was a lot of connection between Kavon Wallace and the Eagles before this draft. He just seems like a perfect fit. What was your reaction to Kavon Wallace?
Yeah, I really liked the pick. It was reported that they were really interested in Kavon Wallace. There's nothing wrong in my eyes with a Clemson safety. So I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. But look, he was one of only 2 guys on that defense to have, I think over 50 or 60 tackles. And that was a pretty damn good defense that Clemson was running out there.
Yep.
This guy is in the, and I say this in the way he plays. He can cover the slide, he can come up in the box and do all the things that Malcolm was doing. So maybe their thought is, okay, this next year he's going to be your 3rd safety right away. You're going to play with Parks. You're going to play with McLeod. You're going to have Jalen Mills out there. But he builds that into that Malcolm Jenkins role. He's a leader. He's a team captain. So does he become that heir apparent leader? Obviously not in year 1, but something that I was very upset about when you lost Malcolm was guys with leadership. So can he become one of those guys is big. But I really like this pick. This started off the 3rd day very, very well. Major position in need. A guy that can play, who could probably step in and give you some stuff right away this year, even if it's not the full package. So I was very happy with this. I'll go B+ again, just because, once again, that second round, you had a couple of those safeties we had been talking about sitting there, and you elected against them.
Oh, my gosh. I totally forgot about Jeremy Chin. Jeremy Chin, he was there for the Eagles in that 53 range. Man, that was my guy. I can't even – I totally forgot about Jeremy Chin. That would have been a perfect fit. But anyway, Kavon Wallace – he played safety and cornerback in college. To play defense on the Philadelphia Eagles, you got to have that element of versatility about you. And this is a guy that if he adds strength in the NFL, which he will, there's no doubt that he will. He's going to be a really good one for the Philadelphia Eagles. This is a really good choice. I think I'm in that A- range. In terms of just he does everything you need He's not Malcolm Jenkins, obviously, but he does everything you want him to do down the road. And I think that's a really good pick. He played the 4-3 at Clemson. He lined up at strong safety, but he's like that, built like a cornerback, but he can hit like a safety. Like, so it's just a really, really good pick. So I think I'm in that A- range, man. I think this was a solid start to day 3. And let's keep moving. And next up, we have kind of a shocker for me. I had some better offensive linemen on my board personally, but the next one to go was Jack Driscoll. What was your reaction to that, man?
You know, when I started looking at offensive linemen for one of the shows we did back, he was a guy that stuck out to me because he was a tackle in college, but he's going to play guard in the NFL because of his size. But he's got quickness, and one of the things a lot of people said about him is he's great out in space. Yeah. And we know how the Eagles are with the screen games and all that stuff. They love to get their offensive linemen out in space. So I thought that he would be a possibility for them. This also tells me that they feel pretty confident that at least for the next 2 years, Jason Kelce's not going anywhere. Because at that point, the center from Wisconsin, who I'm going to butcher his last name, but Biazad.
Yeah, Tyler Biadasz or something like that.
Yeah, he was still there, and I thought, well, if they go there, at least you're building for that Jason Kelce role. Instead, they traded their next pick to Dallas, who then got him. Great job, Philadelphia. Great job, Howie. Oh my God. So I'm okay with this pick. Were there other offensive linemen I was looking at? Yes, but they got a guard. It's good depth, behind the Sayamalos and the Brandon Brookses of the world. He can swing out the tackle, I guess, in an emergency situation. We know the Eagles need offensive line depth because you've seen injuries there in the past. So I'll give this a B, and because it's an area of need, and I like that he's an athletic kid. He's quick, and he can get out in space, which we know with Miles Sanders, that's what they're going to want to do.
Yeah, the two big things about Jack Driscoll is he's super smart and very fast. There's definitely that combination really kind of bodes well for him with the Philadelphia Eagles. He can play. He's versatile, like you said, Rob. But he had a 3.8 GPA in college, and he actually earned his master's degree in business at Auburn. That's pretty freaking cool. He's got a great work ethic, and he had the 4th best 40-yard time out of offensive linemen in this year's combine. So the Eagles love to get their linemen in space. They love to get to that second level. So I'm right in that B range, man. I think that's a very fair grade for this pick. Yeah. You can never go wrong with versatile offensive linemen in this area. Never. I mean, they need backup depth with Big V gone now. He seems to be kind of the next one in to kind of just be that rotational offensive lineman. And now that's pretty good. He played right tackle in Auburn. Auburn had a spread option offense, but yeah. And then we moved on to the Howie basically going bananas with trades. And the first one to go, we talked about the Dallas one. Dallas got a future starting center with that trade.
How stupid can you be? How many different ways do you want to get fleeced by the Dallas Cowboys in one draft?
For real, man. For real. That Tyler Johnson was there. Gandy was there. There was a lot of really good talent, and they traded back with Dallas. I think like 20 spots, and they got like a future 5th rounder. So just another move again, proving that the Eagles are not in win now mode. I mean, that's a massive take from this entire draft. Then the Eagles were on the clock again, and the Eagles and the Niners flipped 6th-round picks for Marquis Goodwin. What was your reaction? They got a veteran speedster on the outside. What was your take on Goodwin?
I put a couple tweets up and deleted them because I was like, you know what? You may get attacked at an unbelievable level if you keep this up. But I'll put it out here. Look, you didn't give anything up. It basically was you gave up 20 spots in the 6th round, which you ended up, so they're going to be picking with that later. Okay, you give anything up, fine. But here's what I see that you did. You got another guy who will be 30 by the time the year starts, who was considered a speedster, but has not been on the field the last 2 years to give you that speed.
Right.
I'm sorry, Don't we have that already? Isn't that what Deshaun Jackson is right now? I mean, I love Deshaun Jackson. I love him. But he's a speedster in his 30s who's having trouble staying on the field. So whereas, oh, yeah, it's low risk, high reward. Well, I find it to not be a low risk. If the guy's injured, what was the point? Just what was the point? Like, why not draft, which they ended up doing anyway, but I don't know enough about the guy. But why not draft the kid from SMU or, Donovan Peoples-Jones? Why not draft a young guy and see if maybe one of them could be a diamond in the rough? Mm-hmm. But you didn't give anything away. So I'm not going to sit here and say you're terrible. What's the matter with you? But, to me, it's one of those, ho-hum, well, yeah.
Totally.
Marquis Goodwin does it. It's not too. Everyone's like, oh, well, if he could do what he did in 2017, well, if Deshaun Jackson could do what he did in 2010, then we'll be great. But that's not the facts.
I mean, that's like the all the talk about the Philly season. Well, if Brees Hoskins plays like 2017, or if Aaron Nola plays like 2018, or like we just kind of keep on doing this cycle of madness, man. It did nothing for me. Marquis Goodwin, is he just a waste of a roster spot? They didn't give up anything. If there's any take on this, what does it mean for Alshon Jeffrey? It's another roster spot that could potentially mean Alshon Jeffrey is going to be hitting the road pretty soon, which I think is a good thing. But yeah, this guy's a cheap burner. He's had a lot of injury issues over the last several years. His best year came in 2017 when he had 962 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's going to cost $4.9 million on the cap next year, so that's kind of nothing really. It's just, I guess the biggest thing that the Eagles like out of this is his yards per catch. His yards per reception is 16.6 yards, which I think is everything for the Eagles. And you look at this draft, Jaylen Reger, now we have Marquis Goodwin. Their entire focus at wide receiver was to stretch the field, increase yards per catch, bring the big play back to Philadelphia. That's my take, is that's their main focus. And I don't love it. I guess I hate it. I guess it's like a D. It just doesn't do anything for me.
To me, it's all right. I'll be nice. I'll give you a C- because it's just like a blah thing, and a C minus the blah to me. You have no height in your receivers right now. I'd say that you are a small receiving team. So I know the talk is Jalen Rhaegar plays taller than what he is. As he said, I play like I'm 6'4". With all due respect, you're going to have to show me that on an NFL football field. Yep. It was one of those things with Jalen Reger. Like, so everybody kept pushing the same play where he caught a screen on the right-hand side and he somehow takes it back and breaks 12 tackles. And it was such a Madden play, right? And everyone's like, oh, my God. And I said, look, he's fast. But that play you just saw there does not happen on an NFL field because they're a little faster too. You know what I mean? Like, he's that straight line, blow the top off the defense. You guys are 100% right. He's got that in his game, and he's going to do that. He's going to catch some long touchdowns for us.
Yep.
But, at the end of the day, like I said, we're very small in the wide receiver situation right now.
No doubt. And last up, we have John Hightower. So this guy is not where I wanted the Eagles to go. John Hightower, I wanted James Prochet, Tyler Johnson. I think he went just a few picks before this.
Yeah. If they didn't trade back 14 times, they could have got him.
Exactly. Tyler Johnson, if you wanted a burner, there you go. But this guy is pretty much a burner and nothing else. This guy is pure speed. So, I mean, in terms of like what he brings to an offense, it's literally straight line speed. That's about it. He drops a lot of passes. He's kind of lazy, but he's just that pure kind of X receiver from Boise State. He can definitely stretch the field. He definitely has top end speed. But in terms of like special teams, like he's not really going to give you anything else. I was like around a C-. I guess he gives you what you need is speed, but it doesn't do me anything. I think you had Bradley Anae on the board. That would have been a much better pick.
He goes to Dallas. He goes to Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas is absolutely. I don't even. I think they go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I'm going to give it a D. And the reason is I understand that they want speed, but every single receiver on the field doesn't have to be a burner, a speedster. You need to have certain guys that are possession type guys. So if your goal was to draft speed and trade for speed and do all this, well, then maybe your first round pick doesn't need to be speed.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Like, to me, I would have rather have gone with a receiver.
I agree.
Later in this draft, once you chose Jaylen Reger as your number 1 pick, I would have rather have taken a shot on Tyler Johnson, on Donovan Peoples-Jones, on any of these other guys that are out there. I know they talk about Prochet. He's not that quick, but he's a great slot receiver. Prochet would be like a great fit for them. They elected to not do it. So I don't understand the pick. You got your speed guy, then you traded for Goodwin. What's the point of John Hightower? There really is none. And when 2 different scouts, the first thing they write are about how the way he drops the football is going to drive you insane, I don't think we need Eagles fans getting any more insane over drop footballs. Don't think we need it.
Amen. So that is the draft. The Eagles have a few picks coming up in that 6th round. It looks like we're on the board here coming up in a couple of picks. But in terms of right now, what is your overall grade for the Philadelphia Eagles? All day 1, day 2, day 3.
Yeah, so I, only gave above a C of any kind when I took 2 picks. And then I gave an F and a D. I don't think I can go above a D for this draft right now. And I am extremely disappointed. We talked coming into the offseason for the Eagles as this was the biggest one for Howie Roseman. Well, free agency did not go as planned, but it seemed like he had a great plan for the draft. Drafting backup and heir apparent, whatever the hell you want to call Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round is one of the worst plans I've ever seen from any organization in the history of the draft. I think it rivals Washington trading up all those picks for RG3. I think it rivals the New Orleans Saints trading up for Ricky Williams. I truly believe it rivals one of the worst decisions in maybe draft history when you just paid Carson Wentz $100+ million to be your franchise guy. And you go and do that with all the holes you have. It's an abomination. It's a slap in the face to the fans who have been dying for this with the coronavirus and the quarantine, that you don't do really anything outside of 1 or 2 picks to truly help you next year. Everything else seemed like a future pick. And that to me is depressing. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope Howie can tell me he's smarter than me at the end of this. Just don't see it happening.
I got to think. I fully agree with you, man. I'm right in that D range. It is a horrendous draft. But I got to think, like, was it the virtual draft? What was the reasoning behind not making moves during those first 2 days? Why didn't Howie make a move in the first round? Why didn't Howie make a move in the second during the second day? And that's where I keep going to, is that, like, was it because of the virtual draft where teams not talking to each other? That's where I keep going, is that, like you said, Rob, the entire point of this year's draft and how he put all of his eggs in this basket. He used free agency for the draft. He used free agency for the defense, and this was supposed to be the draft to put Carson Wentz on that next level, put Carson Wentz in MVP territory. And they got Jaylen Reger, who I love, but basically the rest of the crew are guys that are probably special teamers, clipboard holders, and guys that are fighting for rotation snaps all next year. These guys are pretty much development players, and to miss out on guys like Denzel Mims or Christian Fulton or there's just so many guys here that they just thought that they didn't need help to win now. It really makes me question what the Eagles' plan is. Are we trying to win now? Or are we literally still looking for 3 years from now?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say. So these draft picks tell me you're not trying to win now, but then you sign a 30-year-old Marquis Goodwin, which tells me maybe you are trying. Not that he's going to make or break you, but you're signing a veteran receiver with speed that you really don't need unless you're, trying to just fill up speed. Like, I get it, but you need to have other receivers on a team. And, to me, okay, you're not going to pick Justin Jefferson at 21. I know you like Reger, but how about you trade back? And even if Reger goes, even if you trade back 3 or 4 picks and Reger goes, Brandon Ayuk's still sitting there. I would have been okay coming out of this with Brandon Ayuk. I really would have been. So, and then maybe you pick up another pick so that the Jalen Hurts one doesn't hurt you as much as it is. I'm telling you right now, the Eagles are on the clock. If they trade another pick, so help me God, I'm giving the draft an F. I don't care.
I don't care.
At this point.
For me personally, I don't care that they just took John Hightower. It better be James Prochet in this pick. There's no way that they do not pick James Prochet. He's the number 1 best player available right now. But I go back to, Howie needing this draft to save face. Dude, he was not prepared. There's no way you can tell me that Howie Roseman was prepared for this draft. There's no way. No. He had no awareness of where the team needs were for other teams, or we talked about this ad nauseum for pop. Who's the pick?
I don't know. They just says pick is in, so they're not trading it. For the love of God, you know who else? There's a couple other guys out there. Oh, here it is. Here comes the pick.
Is Bradley Nice still on the board?
Sean Bradley, inside linebacker from Temple.
My boy. All right, so he's gonna keep his locker room at Lincoln Financial Field there. Great pick. The single captain for the Temple Owls. I'm a big Temple guy, of course.
Good. Put me in.
So middle linebacker. You know what? This guy's probably going to be getting the most snaps out of anybody in this draft because he's a pure middle linebacker. He's phenomenal against the run. He's just extremely smart, extremely hard worker. He's just a pure leader. That's what Sean Bradley is. When Sean Bradley got hurt towards the end of the year, and Temple's defense was lights out. They were phenomenal, and Temple was like the shock of college football. They were playing really well, and then Sean Bradley got hurt. And the second that he went out, that Temple defense was done. They just didn't have the same ability to stop the run or that same level of intensity. Sean Bradley is a good pick, man. Obviously, I'm a little biased, but I love that pick. I think Sean Bradley is going to be a good one. I think that Taylor and Sean Bradley and TJ Edwards, rotation could be somewhat fun.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah, I don't know much about the guy, so I'm not. And they pick again here in a few picks. They do they stacked up these 6-round picks, and I'm hoping they make them. Just a couple names of guys that are still available that may be of interest. And I'd like to, if you have a minute, like to get your take on a couple. One of the guys who I had mocked to the Eagles a lot in the 5th round, and apparently he's still on the board, is the defensive end from Michigan State, Kenny Wilkes, as a situational pass rusher. Would not mind him at this point in this draft to get another guy into that rotation. We've talked about that. They need to continue to build at that spot. Anything on Kenny Wilkes?
Not necessarily, but I'm stunned that the Eagles haven't really spent a top pick on a defensive lineman, because I don't know the draft history, but I feel like it's been a long time since the Eagles haven't taken an edge rusher or a defensive tackle in the top 4 or 5 rounds of a draft. It feels like that's got to be years, maybe decades, because that's always been kind of their MO. Is that right? Now there's Bradley and Hayes sitting right there, man. He's not that athletic, but he's versatile. He's good enough. He's got great hands. I don't know much about Wilkes, to be honest, but they got to add guys. I don't like the rotation guys on the Eagles. Josh Sweat, Deshaun Hall. Those guys, they're just guys. Might as well throw in some competition at this point in the draft.
The biggest knock on Wilkes is he doesn't have that top end speed. He's got short arms, but he's a relentless worker. He gets in the backfield. He rushes the passer. He knocks. He makes tackles back there on runners. I think it would be a nice pick, especially if they are to get him at pick 200, which is I think where they're at next. Listen, I don't know if they would do it, especially after the trade for Marquis Goodwin. There's still a few receivers out there that their names are intriguing. KJ Hill from Ohio State, still on the board.
Not slot guy.
He's slot guy. I don't, and I'm just going off names that I remember watching. Courtney Davis from Texas A&M. Is he a guy that falls into like maybe he's an undrafted free agent guy? I don't know. Some of these guys are going to end up on that board. The only corner that's at the top of anybody's board, I guess, right now is Lavert Hill from Michigan. I don't know how excited that I am about that guy. Gets a lot of penalties. So
I got to give so much love. I think I've done it 3 times now, but I got to give so much love, and I'm going to go vomit after I say this. But I go straight to Dallas and to get Trevon Diggs. I really wanted Reggie Robinson. I thought that would have been a really good fit for the Eagles, and he went like right before the Eagles picked in that 4th round, I think it was.
Yes.
It's just been a common thing, just Dallas just, owning the Eagles in this draft. It's 100% true. I'm sorry to say it, Eagles fans, but Dallas is putting together one hell of a draft. And at least on paper, we're all overreacting. We don't know anything beyond what we think, and who knows? I always go back with the Eagles. Remember that draft? It was the Winston Justice draft when, on paper, it was the most talked about, most well-graded draft of all time.
Yeah.
And it resulted in nothing.
Well, I remember because I was a senior in college. I can actually remember this draft. It was Towson, what they call Tiger Fest Day, which was basically you started drinking at 8 a.m. and you drank all day. And we had a bunch of people over. The draft was on. And I can remember this was back when Saturday was still the round ones of the draft, that they're sitting there, and Bunkley and Winston Justice were both the guys they thought they could go with in the first round. And they get Broderick Bunkley. And we're all pumped because the guy was just a physical specimen, right? And then Winston Justice falls in the second round, and you're going, holy shit, this is the greatest draft in the history of the Eagles. And those guys ended up doing nothing.
I remember, this is really weird, but it is what it is. I remember, like, that draft, and someone tweeted out or posted a photo of, like, Broderick Bunkley shirtless, and he's just jacked.
Oh, my God.
I'm just like, we won the draft because of that shirtless pick. Anyway, that was just fun.
So
time.
when we get the guy, he stinks. But when DK Metcalf shows you his muscles and we decide not to pick him, he beats us twice.
Amen.
That's how it goes in this town.
Amen.
And the other thing that bothers me is I'm looking at every other team's draft, and I love it. I think these other teams have done so. I think the Eagles, out of 32 teams, have had the worst draft in the NFL.
Hey.
I truly do. I mean, I'm looking as these guys, as the teams roll around, they show all their picks, and I'm going, man, they got at least 3 to 4 guys that can contribute right away. We got Jalen Reger to hold a clipboard in the second round. It just makes no sense.
I mean, that first thought, obviously it goes to Howie Roseman. He has first and final say. But Andy Weidel, this is Andy Weidel's first draft as director of scouting. So what does that mean? Is that this is like?
A lot of us wanted to say that, Joe Douglas was the problem, but he's had a hell of a draft in New York.
Absolutely.
He's got a running back. He took Michael Pirine. He's done a really nice job out there. Meanwhile, we got Jalen Hurts in the second round. I'm just going to continue to say that because I seriously hoped to wake up this morning and that was all just a bad dream, but it wasn't.
It's defined as the Jalen Hurts draft. Again, we all love you, Jalen Hurts. If you're watching this, you're probably not, but Eagles Nation loves you. It has nothing to do with you, man. This is all about Howie Roseman and not utilizing and filling holes as they need them.
Eagles the clock. Do we stay on for one more pick?
Might as well. We're here, right?
It's here. And then they pick one more before the end of this draft. They'll have 8 guys, one of which will play next year.
I mean, I called Rhaegar to the Eagles months and months ago, but I thought for sure that was going to be a trade down and then a trade up in the second round. I am stunned the lack of movement for the Eagles in those first 2 days, and I can't believe that happened. You look at how much movement there is happening right now. Did the Wi-Fi just suddenly improve? Like, what is going on here?
And now I'm wondering where they go here. Do they take another lineman? Do you go with a defensive end? Do you take the backup running back, the kid from Benjamin, from what's that? Arizona State? Is that where he's from? Benjamin. Do you take him, or do you take and this is why I hate that I'm not in this room. Do they take another receiver?
You take best player available. Yeah. I don't really believe in fit here. This was one of those weird drafts. In any draft, in the first 2 rounds, I'm like, best player available, best player available. Not this time. Not in this area.
You told us that you took the best players on your board in the first and second round. Do it now in round 6. Take either Prochet or Benjamin, because they're both right there on a lot of people's boards as the top 2 guys. And they're both position need. You need that running back by committee back still to come in with Miles Sanders and Boston Scott, because both of those guys, Boston Scott's a little more of the scat back. Miles could do a little bit more of both, but you don't want to have that Jordan Howard type of back to come in and give him a break.
What is going on with Bradley Annette? Does he have some sort of red flag medical?
No, he went to Dallas.
He went to Dallas? Oh, that's right.
Yeah, Dallas took him because the Eagles decided to continue to trade back and let Dallas get. So here's the thing: right after the first round, everybody ripped. Are you kidding me, Dallas? All the holes you have on defense, they filled them all. They got 2 corners. They got a defensive end. They got the defensive tackle from Oklahoma. So they filled them. They've done what they needed to do on top of getting CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
You were too chicken to get up and get them.
Amen.
And that's a problem.
It's a big problem. You're gonna go. You have to go against CeeDee Lamb for the next 10 years, man. That's brutal. Brutal.
CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper for the next 5 years are who you got to defend every time you play them. I mean, it's just and they got 2 good corners. All right, so the Eagles did make a pick. We don't know who it is yet, but the pick is in. That's a positive. They're actually drafting people now, which is always good. Let's see what this pick is. Hopefully, it comes in here quick. I want to say I think the NFL did a pretty good job this weekend. For everything that this was with the virtual draft, I think all in all, the coverage was great. It was kind of cool to see the coaches and GMs home with their kids and all that stuff going on.
Yeah.
So I thought it was a really well done draft. Here we go. The Eagles selection at pick 200.
You're ahead of me.
From Southern Miss.
Who is it?
Receiver.
Who is it?
Quez Watkins, wide receiver, Southern Miss, 2-time first team All CUSA. Had 1,100 receiving yards last year. I'm going to try and get a little background on our kid here.
I honestly have no idea who that is.
Let's play. So with the best available, I didn't mention him, but he was above some of those guys I said.
Okay.
So Quez ran the third fastest.
Another burner.
And his playing speed matches his time speed. He has a second gear to take the top off the coverage. This is from ESPN. And he's a threat to go to the distance when he gets to the seam after the catch and in the return game. He has good length and shows the ability to snatch the ball. Why did my thing just go backwards on me? There it is. Hold on. Why did it go away? Snatch the ball from the air, but his hands are inconsistent. There's room for improvement when it comes to winning 50-50 balls. He's a 6 foot, 185-pound guy. You think the Eagles showed us what their game plan was?
Absolutely.
Holy shit.
Aaron Moorhead, you have a lot of work to do, man.
I'll tell you what, if somehow Alshon Jeffrey is not gone by next week, I have no idea what they're doing. No. And by the way, you know what this tells me? Marquis Goodwin may not even make the team.
I agree with that.
You look make the team.
4-3,
you drafted 3 guys, same thing he does.
4.35 40 time. He had over 1,100 yards last year with 6 touchdowns. He was a 2-year starter, the Z receiver. He lined up inside and outside. So I guess maybe he can play a little slot. He does have pretty good size at 6 foot. 185 pounds. Definitely needs to gain a little weight there.
Receiver in the Eagles receiver.
Yeah.
I think he's got everybody now.
He found himself suspended from the team following the 2018 season. All right, let's find out how he got suspended.
That's all right. I like a guy to get suspended every now and again. he already got enough good character guys like Jalen Hurts to hold the clipboard for Carson and to wear the headset. And by the way, if you're that concerned about Carson's health, why don't you get a veteran who's played the position before in the NFL to play?
I agree. Absolutely agree.
I'm just throwing it out there. I can't believe no one. There must be a red flag on Prochet. I can't imagine.
Weird.
Mel Kiper said at the beginning of the day he can't believe he was still on the board at the beginning of the 4th round. We're now getting closer to round 7, and he's still there.
So, yeah, I look at Hightower. I look at this, what's his name, Quez Watkins. I mean, they're basically the identical prospects. They're both 6 foot. They're both, got top-end speeds. They're both burners. 4'3", 4'4", 40 guys. Struggle with route running. Struggle with lack of strength. They're just pretty much throwing darts at a dartboard and hoping one of these guys can give you something. And there goes James Prochet to the Ravens, the next pick. Oh, wow. So there it is. So is that not the definition of this draft? Just missed opportunities. I don't understand why you go back. Goodwin, Watkins, and Hightower, 3 straight burners. Guy, they're probably not even going to make the team. We're talking about 6th-round guys anyway to begin with. So it is what it is.
It sounds like this Watkins might have a little bit more upside than even Hightower. It sounds like Hightower's hands are really bad. Watkins, it's like they said his 50-50 balls are the problem. But maybe they look at him as a possible slot guy. I don't know. I'll on the surface, I'll give this pick a C+ just because I just don't know enough about it.
I agree. Let's do that. Does that change your overall grade on the Eagles draft at all?
No, I'm going to stay with my D. I'm going to stay. Absolutely.
Me too, man. Just a brutal draft. All right, let's wrap it up. Make sure you follow Rob on Twitter at Philly_Madness. Check out the Madness Podcast wherever you find your podcast or here at the YouTube, the Painted Lines YouTube channel. For Rob, for myself, thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Thanks, much.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh, man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook.
You